keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold. This is Girl Scout Troop 71627. We have been researching the Bedford Girl Scout Bell Band. This fascinating group was formed in preparation for the U.S. bicentennial celebrations in Bedford. They played for many years together and went to many places. We will show you some information we found out about them and also an interview with their music leader, Joe Jamley. Remember when we were in the Girl Scout Bell Band? Yeah, I remember that. I miss those times. We used to practice a lot. Hey guys, look what I found. It's an old scrapbook from the Girl Scout Bell Band. Whoa. Cool. Awesome. Do you remember when we went to Disney World? Now that was a fun day. There was a big crowd at that parade. Look at this old photo of us at SeaWorld. Now that was a hot day. My favorite trip was when we played on the ellipse in front of the White House. And look, here's the certificate that President Ronald Reagan signed. My favorite time is when we performed at the Bedford Day parades. Remember the large crowd loved hearing and seeing us? Remember we used to play Ode to Joy on the glockenspiel?
Hey guys, look what we found. Some of the old bell band instruments and outfits.
Nice. We were just talking about that.
I wonder if we can still remember how to play one of the songs Mr. Damley taught us.
I think I remember Ode to Joy. That was great. You do still remember. Nice job. Mr. Damley taught us well. I wonder how he is these days.
I have no idea what you're going to ask me, but fire away.
When, why, and how did the bell band start?
1975. It was the 200th anniversary of our country, our bicentennial. And I became an assistant Girl Scout leader. And I figured the quickest thing that the girls could learn, I used to teach drum and bugle corps, but to teach a girl to the embouchure, to develop an embouchure for a horn, takes quite a while. But you can play a Glock instantly. And I had seen one on television, and it looked like $1 million. And it was a walk in the park. And all the Glocks and all the drums were donated by people in Bedford.
Who invited you to be a Girl Scout?
I was invited to be one of the first man Girl Scout leaders in Bedford in answer to a TV ad that said this: "Are you man enough to be a Girl Scout leader?" And my family had me sit here. They knew it was going to be on. And my youngest went like this: "Well?" And I said, "Well, what did we, Daddy, come up with a marching unit for the Girl Scouts for our bicentennial?" I only had a year to work with, 1975, 1976. And within a year they were playing, on the Glock, they were playing a piece of music called the Ode to Joy, which most of you know. And they also had a period piece from the Revolutionary period called Chester.
How old were the girls?
They were strictly cadet level. So we called it the Bedford Girl Scout Cadet Bell Band. So I only had some of the girls for just 2 years, and when they went out through cadets, other girls took their places.
Why was it called the Bell Band if the girls played glockenspiels?
I couldn't spell glockenspiel. So if I was going to write up a piece in the newspaper, it would be spelt wrong. And people might not know, a glockenspiel, in German I understand the translation loosely is beautiful bell. Glocken is beautiful, and Spiel is sound or bell, as in the pealing of a bell, so Glockenspiel. But most glockenspiels are played horizontally. When elevated and played this way, we call it a bell lyre because it's shaped like a lyre. And it had 26 notes on it. It was fully chromatic. It went from A5 to A6. And if you hit it hard enough, one Glock will cut, they call it a cutting quality. One Glock will cut through up to a 45-piece band, particularly if you hold it high and hit it hard.
Was the band made up of only glockenspiels?
The Glocks played the melody, and I chose to have it a cappella. We had 6 snare drums, and I chose to have the snares only play a marching cadence, simple, because I was only going to have them 2 years. Have them play a marching cadence and a roll-off, a boom, 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 and then the Glocks would play. And when the Glocks played, the drums just looked pretty. And they got terrific ovations because people could hear the sound of the Glocks nice and clear. We had 15 Glocks at one time, and that's quite a sound coming down the street.
How many girls were in the bell band, and were they all Girl Scouts?
They had to be cadet level Girl Scouts to be in the bell band, and we had, at a maximum, we had 15 Glocks, 6 snare drums, and a full complement of flags that were also donated. We carried the Bedford flag, the state flag, the American flag, and of course the Girl Scout flag. And then 2 girls on the outside. Since they were Girl Scouts, we chose not to use weapons. So the guards on the outside simply just looked pretty and tried to keep in step. So I guess to answer your question, we had probably 30 girls tops. And they made quite a sound. They really did. Good enough to go to Disney World.
What was your musical background?
At age 11, up in Bedford Center, there's a white building, probably yellow now, the old town hall. We were gathering for the 30th of May, the Memorial Day parade used to start there. And I was then with the Boy Scouts. And I saw a kid my age from Lexington in the Lexington Drum and Bugle Corps playing a drum. And I thought, boy, I'd like to be that kid. So I did some investigating, and I found out who they were, and I got the permission of my parents. And in those days, the bus service was a little more frequent than it is now. There was like a bus every 20 minutes. So I could go down to practice in Lexington and then come back, and then weekends or holidays, we'd go out and do parades. I played a snare drum. I was taught from the get-go just how to hold the sticks and how to play a roll, how to play a flam, how to play a paradiddle, and a combination of that with accents. How many here play percussion? Drum? You know what a paradiddle is. It caught me, it just lit a fire inside of me, and I became a drum and bugle corps person, and I still am.
How did you teach the girls to play music if they didn't know how to read music?
My wife and I went to a garage sale, and they had a little small, like a Glock, and it was I think it came with what they call a basic drum kit. And it was like $5, so I grabbed it. And Mary said, "What are you going to do with that?" I said, "Teach myself how to play." So I did. And thankfully, all the notes stamped into each bar. So I did all my composing, all my composing by ear on an index card, E5, E6, E4. I didn't have measures because I didn't know how to score, so I had them in little groups, and the girls got the idea, and many of the pieces were familiar, a few of them were not. But the drumming, I don't think the drumming I put anything down on paper because I can't read music, therefore I can't write music. So it was what we call by rote. And so all my drumming was taught to me and committed to memory. And the Glock thing, by hook or by crook, I came out with it and sounded pretty good. But somebody took over, I want you to know this because this is important. A lady came along whose daughter was taking piano lessons. And her piano teacher came up with some nice combinations. So we were able to have harmony. And they were gorgeous, those pieces.
How long did it take for the girls to get good enough to perform?
The drums took the longest. The girls with the Glock could walk down the street probably in a week and be playing a song. Small, but it might have been the introduction to the Ode to Joy. I guess may I see hands? How many of you know the Ode to Joy? It was quite easy to play and easy to memorize. The 6 notes are very close together, and once you get that grouping down, it's a piece of cake. And it sounds great on the street. It's got a nice tempo to it.
What songs did the band play, and what was your favorite?
I think probably because some of them were going to, down the line, they were going to go to Disney World. It's a small world after all. That I would say that was their theme song. And the girl that was up front that was acting as the drum major, she would look over her shoulder at me, and when we came to a location where there was a lot of people, the thing you want to do is keep it going. So she kind of glanced at me and I'd do this. And that's what she'd do over her head, because the girls knew they're coming to the end of their song, and she'd just do like that, and that just meant keep it going. And some places, downtown Woburn has a big circle, a traffic circle. And they came into that traffic circle, and all through it, I'd tear up. All through it. And when they left it, the applause was deafening. Kids recognize it's a small world, and they were on their father's shoulders, and that it's a small world after all. People were singing it, and that gives you the goosebumps. That way you know you're really making a score.
What was your first performance, and what was it like?
First performance, to my knowledge, was Bedford Day. And that would have been 1976, I think. Because we weren't quite ready. We developed the whole thing in 75. They did make an appearance. I'm trying to think where they played indoors. I think it was the Bedford Lions Club donated a glockenspiel. And that's probably that one glockenspiel. 3 or 4 of the girls went up there and they took turns playing the same song. But the guys gave them a standing ovation. They thought that was the greatest. And it took off like gangbusters. Wow. They were almost burning the door down trying to get a hold of Joe Damry. I belong to the Legion. We'd like to donate a Glock and a drum. And I'd just about hang up and the word would get down to the VFW and they'd call. We'll donate a Glock and a drum. And then the Masons uptown, they donated something. The Knights of Columbus, they donated something. And then people started calling and saying, I just lost my husband, or in memory of my parents, may I donate a Glock. The girls only have to run one single food sale. Cookie money was off limits. We couldn't touch cookie money. So outside of where Whole Foods is now, they had a cake sale. That was the only time they had to really get out there and earn money because everything was given to them. My timing was just right. And not just me. Everything was just right in the town.
Where else did the bell band play?
They played on television at WBZ Channel 4. They were on for a 15-minute segment on a program a lot like Chronicle. And they interviewed myself and the other leader. And we had, just so that the lady that was doing the interviewing wouldn't be left out, I had snuck in and put some little markers on several of the bars. And when she had a break to go into a commercial, she took a mallet and came over and went dee-dee-dee-ding, dee-dee-dee-ding, and looked at the camera and says, look, Ma, I'm playing a glockenspiel. And then we faded out into a commercial. But that was their biggest, probably most exposed rendition, appearance in the Boston area. But like I say, they got their money together, I don't know how, and a busload of them went down to Disney World. And they marched down Main Street playing It's a Small World. Good show. They were good. They were really good.
Where was your favorite place to play?
Right on Great Road. Because it was people in Bedford that came up with the hard cash free will donation, no strings attached, and that they could play for them as a thank you. I think that gave me most pleasure. I really do.
Where and when was your last performance?
I don't know for the bell band completely. Once I left it, it was 2 days before they get on the bus for Disney World. And at that point in time, down on Page Road across from the telephone building, there was an elementary school, the Page School. And they used to drive people bananas in that neighborhood because Wednesday nights was Glock night. So Glocks and drums were marching all around the schoolyard, getting ready for going down to Florida. And that was my last appearance with them.
Did any Girl Scouts get kicked out of the band for not practicing?
No. They became a member of the Color Guard. And if they were happy with that, that's fine. But myself and the two of us, co-leaders, when I was there, I said, would you be happier carrying a flag? Yeah, I would. I don't have to practice for that.
Why did the bell band stop?
Well, after my term was over, the lady that stepped in for percussion decided they should be playing jointly. So she was a qualified percussion person, could read and write, and she taught them some drum pieces to go with their songs. And then she decided, I think we'll have a bass drum. So they went out and bought a bass drum, and it lasted probably less than 2 years. And her husband got after her. True story. Her husband says, you're putting so much time into this. There's 3 of us at home. When do we count? And when she dropped out, it just fell like a bunch of dominoes. It just fell apart. And nobody stepped in to fill her shoes, and I guess it just kind of just disappeared. As did the instruments. That was the biggest mystery of all. I don't know what became of all of the equipment. Am I hearing rumors that somebody has seen a few of the glockenspiels recently? Mm-hmm. About how many?
So there are about 5 or 6.
And how could you tell they were from the bell band?
I knew they were from the bell band because they had the little engraving on them that said Girl Scout Bell Band, and then there was a number.
Thank you. I'm delighted they haven't all left town. It probably won't start up again because you kids now have iPods and other things to take up your time. The bell band takes a lot of doing. This old guy will be forever grateful for all the beautiful young girls I got to be part of their life experience with. That gold can't measure what that means. And to have the backing of the town behind something that I created out of thin air, wow, that's not bad.
Make new friends, but keep